Hello there, everyone. Welcome to a new Let's Play with me, your host, Tim. And today, we're going to start playing through Sacrifice together, finally. There's some prep here that you can skip by going to the slider beneath the video up here on YouTube and skipping past it. This video should be segmented, so this way you can skip listening to me prattle on about what type of game Sacrifice is, how far I got in it, assuming I'd played it before, any special house rules we'll be using as we play this game together, and as well, the difficulties I've had recording this particular game. Let's start with the last bit first. It is my belief that at the moment, you guys are probably seeing the Sacrifice main menu, but with gigantic black borders around it. This game uses different resolutions in order to display different types of menus to us as we play the game. This would normally not be an issue, but my Fraps, the capturing software I use for the games I play, no longer records the desktop, which means that I can't put together the videos in a narrative way in order to create a Let's Play. I would normally have to record, for example, the introduction, this bit, as a separate video at a different resolution compared to when we load into a map, which uses a different resolution for that, compared to the actual mission itself, which uses a different resolution there. And it was going to be quite nightmarish to try to upload a series on this game using Fraps. On that note, I am using OBS Studio. I am not as familiar with OBS Studio as I am with Fraps, as I tend to use this only for games that I can't use Fraps to record. But there's one or two gotchas about OBS Studio and this game in particular, which I feel compelled to warn you guys about. I cannot stop and start OBS Studio while this game is running using hotkeys. I have to actually quit out of the game to access it. This game seems to steal the focus of my keyboard commands, which is good. I kind of want that happening when I'm playing the game, but it's bad from a recording perspective because I can't make any cuts in an attempt to record this game. I have to finish the recording first, and then I have to do any alterations that I want in post afterwards. When we actually are playing the game, we will be playing the game at the resolution you see selected here, 2560 by 1080. In fact, if I just allow this main menu to play, we will see an example of what the game will look like. So I will go ahead and let that occur when we begin talking about the type of game it is. But know that what you're seeing now will not be the resolution that we see the game in. It will look far prettier. And with that said, I guess we should let the game play a bit. And we should see a demo battle occur to show the player what they're about to walk into. On that note, let's talk about Sacrifice for a bit. Sacrifice is a real-time strategy game made, as you saw from the very introduction about the company that made this, Shiny, back in the year 2000. It is a hero-centric real-time strategy game. We will still have units to control and run around the battlefield to fight our enemies off with. But the camera angle for Sacrifice is quite different than any other real-time strategy game I have played. The camera angle will be behind our main character and not held down from, say, an isometric view. While we can pan out the camera in order to get a better view of the battlefield, or rather see more of it, we will be unable, to the best of my recollection, to actually watch the battle from one of our creatures' perspectives. The whole thing will take place based around our hero instead. Like the campaigns of Warcraft 3 and or Warwind, if we lose our hero, the battle's going to become a great deal more difficult until our hero can get back up off the ground again. The game's tutorial will actually show a good amount of this information, and I think anything else I try to talk about in regards to this game is best handled by the tutorial. As you can see, however, from the heroes on display here, it's a very eerie-ish looking game. This does not take place in a world like, say, Earth, but a unique world setting with unique gods and gameplay mechanics that we haven't seen before in other games. Why don't we let the game now just get to the tutorial, Tim? So this way the viewers can see that as you talk about other things about Sacrifice. I have never beaten this game. I played 3 missions in the campaign, and on that note, the campaign is quite different than any other real-time strategy game I have played before. Normally, we would choose a faction and then play that faction's story, but Sacrifice allows you instead to pick which faction you will work for at the beginning of a quest hub, which we will go back to after we complete each mission. The faction we work for will reward us with units that faction has and spells, and we will keep those rewards as we move onward. So for example, imagine that at the beginning of a StarCraft mission selection stage, you can choose to work for the Terrans, for the Zerg, or the Protoss, and we select the Terrans. The Terrans would give us the ability to create wraiths for us from then on for the remainder of the game. If we worked for the Protoss, we might get the Protoss Scouts, and if we worked for the Zerg, we might gain the Zerg Mutalisks. This is how this game works, and from then on throughout the campaign, we would have access to those units. If there's a plot twist that occurs, I do not know what it is. You should know that I have been told that, and I remember looking this up many years ago, that the final missions in this game, against especially the final boss, is not fair and quite difficult. And on that note, if we end up in a position where I am unable to beat the game, I apologize. You should know that I am not very good at these games any longer compared to how good I used to be some 20 years ago when I was playing real-time strategy games. I'm much better at turn-based strategy games than RTSs. I lose where the cursor is located on screen, and I can no longer very quickly select different units or spells. This game is especially important that you do these things correctly too, which means it's going to be rather tricky. It's my way of warning you guys in advance that we may not be able to win. I certainly hope we can, but maybe we won't be able to. In which case, I hope it was still entertaining to watch me play this game for however many missions we're able to complete. Now, some house rules. 2 things in particular. As I mentioned, we will be able to choose which faction we do missions for when we're at the quest hub, and we'll be back at the quest hub after we complete every single mission. There are, I think, 10 or 12 total missions in the game, and there are 5 factions, I think, that we will be able to work for. This gives an incredible amount of different missions we could see, and or complete them with the units that we had created or been or hired, allowed access to from the previous ones we completed. I think there's something like 200,000 different combinations or more than that, since it's a every single mission is like increased by the power of the last mission in regards to how many different combinations that there are. I'm going to allow you guys to vote on which missions we do, and whichever ones wins the most votes will be the one that we do next. If this goes well, and it doesn't take too long, we may actually play through this game twice, especially if I am able to finish the final boss mission, which I think has its own, the boss cheats effectively, and it's supposed to. It's not supposed to be fair, but if we can win that mission, and it's not too much effort to do so, we may play through this game a second time, so we can see how things play out if we chose different missions. But anyway, I'm going on a weird tangent at the moment. I will let you guys choose which factions we work for. On the result of a tie, I will go ahead and roll dice to make the determination as to which one we choose. And if I get no votes, which is to say, no one particularly cares or no one has any opinion, alright, so be it. Then I'll just roll dice for which god we work for. Lastly, there are secret missions, or a secret task, that you can fulfill in every mission that you do. I will attempt to complete them, but if we miss it, so be it. These secret tasks are called boons, and they generally are awarded by the factions that you did not choose to work for or work against. Instead, they're given to you by a different neutralist or a different faction who is happy that you did things in a way that they would approve of. Anyway, I think that does it for the summary, everyone. So, with all that now said, I'm going to go check on the recording, and if everything came out well, I'll be back to hit new game. So give me a second. Alright, everyone. One last thing before we hit start. Or maybe two things. Perhaps even three. First, the tutorial is going to have a large amount of dialogue, and as far as I can recall, all the dialogue in this game is voiced. So, I won't be doing that much speaking during the tutorial because the game's going to do most of it for us, as well as describing how to do things in the game, and by giving us a little bit of lore on what is occurring as we go through the tutorial, since there'll be story stuff which occurs during it as well. I've increased the music volumes and the sound volumes a tad too, so when I'm done recording the tutorial, if it's obvious that it was too loud, I'm just going to have to reshoot it. But if I'm not sure, and it sounds like it's acceptable, I'm going to go ahead and obviously upload it to my channel in the form that it is completed in. That was a weird way to phrase that. I'm going to just upload it and hope it's okay. Let me know how the audio is, if you could. I'm using OBS Studio for this, as opposed to Fraps. One more time, I feel like mentioning that. So, I have a little more control over the volumes, and what I hear is not necessarily translated into how it will come out on the finalized video, where I believe I've set the game volumes lower than my voice volume. Anyway, let me know, if you could. And of course, if you don't, that's perfectly fine too. I'll assume everything's working out well. Okay, so let's double check one or two more things. Okay, I think I'm set. Oh, hotkeys. Okay, whatever. I can worry about that later. All right, let's go ahead and start a new game. And we're going to go ahead and do the tutorials. This way you guys get a chance to see what the game is like. It will explain the game mechanics, I think every single thing that we would want to learn. And it'll be useful for you, obviously, if you've never seen this game before. And there's a little bit of story stuff which transpires. So let's go ahead and get started.
Greetings, O acolyte of Persephone. I am a humble homunculus sent by the goddess to instruct you in the ways of mysticism. First, you need to know how to move around. To run forward, press the W key. To run backwards, press the S key. Click on Continue when you are ready. To turn to the left, press the A key. To turn to the right, press the D key. I will meet you by the road up ahead when you are ready to continue. Oh, one additional thing, Master. If you ever forget what you are supposed to be doing, you can bring up your mission objectives or a speech history in the game options menu. Hit the Escape key to bring up the options menu. and then select either the Objectives or Speech History buttons.
I do apologize that we're doing the tutorial when it's tutorializing us, but it has been a long time since I've played this game myself, so I need to do this tutorial. Well, I could do it off screen. There's enough stuff here that's a little different from what we might be used to for an RTS that's probably worth recording it. And wow, the game still looks great. I think some of the most recent versions of the, well, not versions of the game. The game supports 2560 by 1440.
Let us discuss how to look around. We call that camera control. You can zoom the camera in and out using the mouse wheel, or you can use the plus and minus keys on your keyboard. Why don't you give it a try? You can also zoom in and out by placing your cursor to the extreme top or bottom of the screen. When you've mastered zooming, meet me up the road and I'll teach you something even more exciting.
Ooh.
Remember, to find me, just follow the brownish dirt road. Even when I'm not with you in physical form, I will be surveying the battlefield for you. I can see you and your troops at all times. Great, I will meet you at the ruins up ahead. They are off to the side of the road, so you may need to search the area to find them. You can look side to side by moving your mouse cursor to the extreme left or right edge of the screen. You can look in any direction by holding down the middle mouse button and dragging the mouse. If you do not have a middle mouse button, then you can hold Control and use the left mouse button instead. By the way, when I say Control, I mean the key labeled CTRL on your keyboard. Bet you didn't know mysticism was so technical, did you? Having trouble finding me? Let me illuminate my position with a column of light. The gods will often use such tricks to let you know where things are located.
Ah. What do you guys think so far? This has been the only real-time strategy game I've ever encountered or played. One does not necessarily make the other one... once their series aren't dependent upon each other. There's probably another RTS that plays like this. But I really, really loved how focused it is on your particular unit, since I don't think you can actually change the camera to look at something else. But we'll figure out if there is a way as we talk to our homunculus a little bit more in the future. I do like the reminder that an age ago, mice didn't have a middle mouse button. There was no scroll wheel on the mice back in the early 1990s, or even the middle 1990s. How about that? Well, that's interesting. This looks like a star or something in the clouds, which is moving. Well, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and talk with our homunculus.
You found me. Good job. Now, let's talk about the mini-map located in the lower right portion of your screen. A lot of information about your surroundings can be gleaned from this mini-map. You see that oblong white shape in the middle? That's you. Go ahead and turn yourself in place. Notice that the map always orients itself in the direction that you're facing. Sometimes you will need to see a larger or smaller portion of your surroundings. This is accomplished by zooming in and out on the mini-map. To zoom in, place your cursor on top of the mini-map and hold down either the middle mouse button or Control and the left mouse button. Now move your mouse upwards. Zoom in until you can clearly see a green dot in front of the shape representing you on the map. That green dot is me. Other creatures will appear as a dot in whatever color is assigned to their side. You can gain more information on just about anything on the minimap by placing your cursor on top of it. Things that belong to your side, such as creatures and buildings, will sometimes appear near the edge of the minimap as small arrows. Hold your cursor over the arrow at the edge of the minimap. You will see that this arrow is showing you the direction in which your altar lies. Now, to zoom out, place your cursor on the minimap and hold down the middle mouse button or Control and the left mouse button. Move the mouse downward with the button held down and you will zoom out. Keep zooming until you see a ring-shaped icon on the minimap. This icon represents the actual position of your altar. Major structures such as altars are depicted as icons that differ depending on what type of structure is being represented. That is all for now on the subject of minimaps. Return to the road and keep following it. I will await you further along.
My goodness, a mini-map back in the year 2000 that you can zoom in and out of. I can't think of another game that let you do that at the time. Man, this was really advanced. Even in many of today's RTSs don't let you zoom in or out on the mini-map. And not many of them let you reorient it based on your own personal preferences. Seeing the graphics in this game reminds me of the old Turok games I used to play too around this decade. My goodness, good times. Lots of fond memories.
Now you will learn the very basics of casting spells. In the lower left corner of your screen are 3 tabs representing your spell books. Below these tabs is a row of icons representing the spells contained within the currently open spell tab. Currently, the only active tab is your general spell tab. This is the middle tab. Make sure this book is open by left-clicking on it.
Oh, there's that sound effect of books, pages turning. Oh, I love it.
You should see 3 spell icons on the bottom row. Hold your cursor over an icon to gain information about that particular spell. Select the spell Heal from the spell list by left-clicking on its icon. Your cursor should now change into a targeting cursor. Place the cursor over yourself and left-click to cast the spell.
Illorum, Thermithrax.
The heal spell is very important to use properly in battle, so you may want to practice it a few more times. When you feel you have mastered it, come talk to me.
Oh, I forgot how much I like Shakti's voice.
Carpe, Rock, Kalpa. Wodan, Krixa, DM.
Your characters will say a various number of pejoratives, I believe is what they're called, as they cast a spell, with a little bit of mockery of the speech they use, because they will occasionally actually say pejorative. And also, they'll use some of the words from, I think, the Army of Darkness occasionally, and perhaps a few other words from other things that I don't recognize. But I very much like that to cast a spell, your character seems to be saying words in an arcane language, with some exceptions. Oh, I see what's happening. We have an enemy on the way.
Your spellcasting seems to have attracted a locust. I wonder what he's doing here. Well, he is the perfect target practice for your spellcasting. Select the spell Wrath from your spell list and target the locust.
Bethud Denorum Dothda.
Ah, that shows him. Notice that ghostly figure rising from the dead locust? That's its soul. Don't worry about souls just yet. We will discuss them later in your training. Continue along the path and experiment with your other spells. I will meet you in the village up ahead.
Denorum Iliel Rock.
There are hotkeys you can assign to every single spell that you'll have access to, and I will spend some amount of time going ahead and getting those into my spellbook as we play. Your spells, which we will learn when we actually play the game proper, are dependent upon the faction that you are working with. We'll talk more about that in the future as well. I believe I know that my Z key is hotkeyed to Speed Up, a spell that you'll be seeing me use very often in the game. As with most games of this and other ilks, it is very important that you have a good amount of mobility.
Sanct Nathrak.
As long as we're talking about a few miscellaneous things,
Genketsu.
up here
Iliel.
in the upper right-hand corner,
The
let's-
speed up spell is very useful when traveling great distances.
this is the amount of souls we possess. This is our mana. This is our health. We will, I believe our homunculi will tell us more about this in the next tutorial.
Carpe. Gaza. Barata.
These fellows here are peasants. Persephone will say they are the heart and soul of Elysium, but they are just a bunch of frightened fellows who can't fight, if you ask me. You see the way they fawn over you? If they like you, they may even follow you around, hoping you'll protect them, I guess. If you seem like a threat, they'll probably go running. Can't blame them. Aside from the occasional friendly wizard, that's the only defense they have. You will meet a wide variety of creatures in your travels, not all of them as harmless as these peasants. Keep your eyes open. Sometimes a creature will want to talk to you. If I think they have something important to say, I'll point them out. In any case, your cursor will change to look like a mouth when you point at a creature who has something to say. Now, when you see this, simply walk near them and they'll begin to speak. That's all for your first lesson. Feel free to explore this island all you like, but when you're ready, find a nearby portal and it'll take you to a new island. Then, I'll teach you all about combat.
Well, let's look around and see if there's anyone to talk to, since he had hinted that someone may want to speak with us. I believe people who do want to speak with us will be blinking. There's one on the mini-map. So I can see, yep, over here, someone wants to speak with us. This doesn't happen very often. In fact, most of this game will just be slugging it out against enemy units. But over here, at least for the tutorial, looks like we have two people who want to speak with us. These little peasants. Oh, look at him wave his arms around.
I could have been a mystic too. Except I'm no good with magic.
I'm guessing that means that he must be good at command. I can't believe I remember what this lesson was going to say, but I suddenly do. He's going to tell us a little bit about the land here and about Persephone.
There are other gods to worship, but Persephone's the best. Just look at how beautiful it is here.
The creatures that worship the other gods probably appreciate different things than the beauty or fertile land in this particular area. To my knowledge, there is nothing else here that we should investigate. There's no special boons or secret quests, and I don't believe there's anyone else to speak to. So let's go ahead and end this tutorial and go to combat. This screen right here is shown as we transition to different areas, and we'll have lore explained to us in the future.
Welcome to the second portion of your training. This time we'll talk about combat. Remember that although you are a master of magic, you aren't the toughest in a fight. If you wade into the middle of combat, you're likely to end up on the wrong side of a troll's fist. To keep watch over a battle and support your troops with magic, it is always best to stand back from the main conflict. A good commander knows when the time is right to join the fray and will only do so when his presence will win the day. Why don't you follow me? Persephone has provided some of her creatures for your training.
A very important thing that he mentioned to us. We are not a tank. We are not like the Paladin in Warcraft 3. We can't take very many hits from even weak creatures. We need creatures to take the hits for us instead. Think of it a bit like Tooth and Tail, a game that came out, I think, like about 5 or 6 years ago, where your commander doesn't do any fighting, actually, in that one, but leads the army and gives them commands of what to do.
Here we have the creatures Persephone sent us.
I am yours to command by order of the goddess.
Yes, well, he seems very eager. Why don't you left-click on him to select him?
My lord.
Very good. Now, take a look at the druid. You see the triangle and 2 bars floating above his head? That triangle represents your unit color, and the 2 bars represent his health and mana. Notice that 2 icons have appeared in the area on the left side of your screen. The icon in the larger area represents this druid that you have selected. The icon just to the right is for any special abilities that your selected creatures have. In this case, the druid is able to create a magical shield around himself. Go ahead and left-click on the life shield icon to command the druid to use his ability. Now he is much more resistant to harm. Notice that when he activated his ability, it used some of his mana. We will learn about regaining mana in a later lesson. Now, for our next lesson, we need another volunteer. The ranger there will do nicely. To select multiple creatures, hold down the left mouse button and drag the mouse.
Strength and honor.
Good. Now, wait here. Now that you have both of them selected, send them over to me. Just right-click on the ground near me.
Move!
On my way.
Very good. When you right-click to issue an order, the creature will do a default action. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean he'll try to do the sensible thing based on what you clicked on. Notice that when you right-clicked on the ground, you told them to move? Now make sure they're still selected and right-click on me.
Guard!
Great! Now they will guard me. Notice that they take up position next to me. If I were an enemy, they would have attacked when you right-clicked on me. Glad I'm on your side. Why don't you come over here and we'll continue the lesson.
I also forgot about this. Everything that we... every type of command that we issue, I think almost all of them, will have your wizards say words as well. We'll be able to, like, say, Group 1, move. And I love this. Or attack my target, and stuff of that sort. I really feel it adds to the immersion that we're hearing this wizard that we're controlling issue the commands to the units, which I absolutely love. And I forgot how much I like what they did with this game.
There is one more way to issue commands. Sometimes you may want creatures to perform a command other than the default right-click command. For example, you may want to attack an area by issuing an attack order on a piece of ground, or you may wish to attack a friendly unit by issuing an attack order. We will need another volunteer for this. Ah, Shrike, why don't you come over here?
I don't know if I agree.
Well, he can stay there then. Select the ranger by left-click. Now that you have the ranger selected, press and hold down the right mouse button. This will bring up 4 icons arranged in a cross shape. Don't let go yet. Move the cursor to the right. Notice that more icons appear as you move the cursor. Stop when you reach the icon marked Attack, and then release the mouse button. Now your cursor should take the form of the attack icon. To execute this order, left-click on the intended target. Try it out on the Shrike over there.
What ho?
Attack!
The ranger will now attack the Shrike. When you want him to stop attacking, simply give him another order by right-clicking or once again using the cross menu. Meet me down the road for our next lesson. Make sure to order any of your troops who are not guarding me to come with you.
Ready.
Guard me!
Moving out.
Do you forget me?
I did. Actually, I did not. But we're not able to select them until this moment, I believe.
Guard me!
Aha!
Now, it may seem a bit weird that we have these amazing voices for these strange creatures, but for some reason, I really like it. Like in other RTSs, by the way, you can keep clicking on creatures,
Aye.
and they will eventually go through some other statements that they would not normally make, in a similar way to how the orcs would tell you to stop poking them in the first Warcraft game.
An ode to Athelos. Great Athelos did heed the call to share the goddess' words with all. Though peace and justice he did seek, he found his death in Surtur's keep. Yet still we glory in his name. His life is lost, but ne'er his fame. An ode to Athelos.
Strength and honor. Ranger here. Ranger here. Stop that. I have a bow and arrows. I'm not afraid to use them. I'll hunt you down. And in this life, or the next, I will have my vengeance.
They actually get rather annoyed with you in this one, if I recall correctly. The druid in particular will be funny, if I remember. If you've played, I think EverQuest is what he's going to be quoting from. Or referencing.
You see that rock over there? The one in the middle of that sandy area? Let me illuminate the one I'm talking about.
Behind us. Yep, we see it.
Let's suppose you wanted to order your minions to run around that rock in a circle.
Direct me.
You would give them that order by issuing a series of orders as waypoints. When a series of orders are issued as waypoints, they will execute in the order that they are given, one after the other. To issue orders as waypoints, simply hold down the Shift key and then click to issue the order. Both right-click orders and orders issued via the cross menu can be given as waypoints. Try giving your creatures some waypointed orders. When you are comfortable doing this, meet me further up the road.
With a sword.
Guard me.
Sallying forth.
Ready.
Move.
Moving out.
Move.
On my way.
Guard me.
On my way.
Very cool. So you can queue orders, and they'll do their best to follow them in the order that you've given them. Now, it may also seem weird to you that this Shrike is a flying unit, and yet he's kind of sticking low to the ground. This is odd to me, too. I don't remember that they can fly rather high. Or I seem to remember that was possible for them to do.
Guard me.
Sallying forth.
Alright, let's go back and see our homunculus.
Pejorative summoned Master Dog. Pejorative.
Feeling good about issuing waypoints, eh? Well, we needed some more troops for this next bit. Persephone said she'd send some, but looks like Miss High and Mighty can't be bothered.
Did we hear someone calling our name?
Persephone, so generous of you to grace us with your divine presence. We were just discussing your many fine qualities.
Very good. We have brought you a contingent of our faithful, for we see that you have been prudent thus far, and have preserved the well-being of the other creatures in your charge. Do not allow your vigilance to falter.
Oh, good, she's gone. Now, let's start our next lesson. These troops aren't going to be much good bunched up like that. Here, let me show you a trick for separating out groups of tightly packed units. Now that you have control of them, double-click on any one of the creatures with the left mouse button.
My lord? Yes, my lord?
Notice that it selected the unit you clicked on and all similar units in the immediate area. Go ahead and give them a move order by right-clicking on the ground to the left of the group.
Move.
Aye.
Now, double-click on the remaining creatures and tell them to move to the right.
Ready. Strength and honor.
Move.
Already done.
The two groups you ordered are now more organized. It is critical to maintain organization in the heat of battle. To help you organize your troops, you can assign group numbers to them. Go ahead. Now that you have your rangers selected, hold down the control key and hit the 1 key on your keyboard. You should hear yourself declaring that the rangers are now Group 1.
You're Group 1.
Now, double-click on one of the druids to select all of them.
Yes, my
Once
lord.
this is done,
My lord.
hold down Control and hit the 2 key. This will set the druids as Group 2.
You're Group 2.
Not every game I've played for RTSs have allowed me to set control groups. Thankfully, this caught on, and now seems to be a standard thing for RTSs these days. I find it almost impossible to play any RTS game without hotkeys, as moving over to grab an individual creature or select a group of them by control selecting still takes way too long, as opposed to the amount of the prep involving getting groups assigned to control groups and then using them that way.
Hit the 1 key.
Group
This should select all of the Rangers. You will hear yourself calling out the name of a group whenever you select them.
Your Group 3.
Go ahead and play around with the group settings. When you feel ready to move on, take the rightmost fork in the road and I will meet you further along. And do remember to bring your troops, will you?
We're going to go ahead and do something that we haven't been instructed about yet, but I want my groups being a little more organized than just right-clicking on me to have them move ahead of me, as it were.
Group 1.
Ready.
I can assign them to different unit formations.
Semicircle formation. Guard me.
On my way.
I stand ready.
Group 1.
My
Group
lord.
2. Skirmish formation. Guard me.
Aye.
The formations that I select will also, I believe, determine where they will end up being. So my rangers are behind me to add range support, and my druids, who are our melee unit, a tier 1 melee unit, are in the front of us
Direct me.
to tank.
Guard me.
Sallying forth.
And now we can go ahead and move. All of my army will move with me as we move. If I was to cast a speed spell, though, as you might have seen earlier, it only affects me. But we could select...
Sallying forth.
We could cast it on a different unit. But the speed spell is single target only.
Move.
There are AoE attacks on other spells.
Move.
You'll see them
With the
used
song
later.
in my heart.
Guard me.
Sallying forth.
Alright, let's see what he wants to talk to us about this time.
Now it is time to learn about formations. You may have noticed that your troops will form into a straight line when they reach a destination. This is because they are told to use the line formation by default. Select your group of rangers and have them guard me.
Group 1.
Strength.
Guard.
You see how they form up on either side of me in a line? If an enemy were in front of us, I would be safely out of their line of fire.
Guard.
Already done.
As I move, they will move with me and try to maintain their position relative to me and to one another. To change the formation that your selected creatures will use, you must access the cross menu.
You can also hotkey these, if I recall correctly.
Hold down the right mouse button. When the cross menu appears, move your mouse cursor to the left until it highlights the line formation icon. Now move the cursor up until it highlights the skirmish formation. Release the button.
Skirmish formation.
You should hear yourself shout out the new formation you want your creatures to form into. Now, right-click on me, and they will take the new formation.
Guard.
On my way.
When you give a formation order, your troops will not use that formation until they are given their next order. They will then use that formation until they are given an order to use a different formation. Notice that the skirmish formation that you selected orders the troops to shield me by standing in front of me. I can't shoot through them, but an enemy trying to get to me has to fight through my screen of rangers first. You will find many different uses for the various formations. Hold down the right mouse button to access the cross menu again and move the cursor upwards this time. Select the circle formation and right-click on yourself.
Circle formation. Guard me.
Follow me and we will continue your lessons.
Semicircle formation. Guard
Moving
me.
out.
Alright, let's go. I love this because it also feels like I actually have an army running with me. Which is what other RTSs do too. But in particular, because it's focused on my my particular wizard, it feels like they're right there with me. I really love this. We could have the rangers
Guard.
On the trail.
Group 3. Move.
guard
With a
him
song
instead.
in my heart.
Line formation. Line formation. Move.
I.
Move.
There are several creatures approaching.
My lord.
Stop! Stop! Or we'll fire! 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 Oh, he's got friends.
Pyro is attacking the village. We need aid.
We must get to that village. Persephone will reward us well if we help her creatures.
You're not helping anyone.
Oh, they've destroyed the bridge. We must find another way around to the village.
Group 2.
My lord.
Group 1. Group 3. Move.
Sallying forth.
Okay, back around we go.
Permission to speak, my lord?
Yes, yes, speak up.
My lord, I will come with you. I must save my home.
Very well, you may come. We need all the men we can get. Select all of your rangers.
Ranger here.
Now that you have them selected, hold down shift and click on the new ranger there.
Strength
Now,
and honor.
onward to the village.
Your group
I will
1.
follow you.
Guard.
On my way.
Okay,
Group 3.
let's go. We're gonna go back the way we came, if I recall correctly.
Move.
Oh, guys, I can't describe how much I enjoy this. Just watching all the units run around with me.
Move.
I wonder, I guess it was just too complicated for anyone else to kind of mimic this. Or to, and by complicated I mean to program?
Move.
Which is why we never saw anything more like this. Or perhaps it's probably easier to, easier is the wrong term to use.
Move.
With
Oh,
a song
hello.
in my
Attack.
for Telluria.
Group 2. Group
Ready.
1. Phalanx formation.
Hunting,
Attack.
tracking the
Attack.
prey.
Group 1. Group 2. Attack.
Have at you.
They got me.
Group 3. Move.
Aha!
Move. Group 1. Line formation. Line formation.
No, I don't want line formation. I want semicircle formation. Hold on.
Move.
Moving out.
Semicircle formation. Group
Strength
1.
and honor
Guard
on
me.
the trail.
Guard. Group
Yes, my
2.
lord.
Semicircle formation.
And I want this in phalanx formation.
Skirmish formation. Guard me.
Okay, we're good.
Group 3.
Direct me.
Move.
Sallying forth.
The different formations you use was also something that was utilized in a few other games back then in the 90s. I remember Homeworld used formations, and the formations that you used in that game were kind of important for you to properly choose them, depending upon what you were fighting at the time.
Move.
With a song in my heart.
It seems that we lost all of that, though, recently, right? I can't none of the Blizzard games that I can recall use things like formations.
Defend this structure.
Aha!
Move.
With a song in my heart.
Shakti, that is a tree. Though I suppose it is, you could consider it a
Hold
structure.
a moment before you proceed. Many dangers lie ahead. We shall provide additional creatures that you may deter the heretical menace of Pyro.
These shrikes will help with any melee creatures we encounter. But watch out for missile fire. They are vulnerable to it. One more thing before we charge into battle. You can use the mini-map to issue orders and select troops.
Group 1.
Go ahead and experiment with this. We are in a hurry, but if you are not prepared to enter battle, we will surely lose.
Circle formation. Guard me.
All right. We got my whole force with us. Let's get going. Good music for Persephone, too. Each of the different gods have their...
I've got a bad feeling about this. Looks like a good place for an ambush. Why don't you go ahead? I'll catch up to you.
Very... Oh, I see them over there. See that? They're waiting for me. Well, I see you guys, too. Cogs. Those are Pyro's melee units, if I recall correctly.
Move.
Aha!
Move.
Aha!
Attack.
For Telluria.
Nicto sunt carpe.
Group 1. Attack.
He's shafted.
Group 2.
I stand ready.
Group 2.
I stand ready.
Guard me. Group 3. Guard me. Group 2.
Ooh, we took
Stand ready.
my guys took quite a bit of damage. Let's heal at least one of them.
Fly
Move! Attack! Group 2.
My lord.
Guard me.
Persephone willing.
Unfortunately, we did lose 2 of our druids. Wait, thank goodness I remembered that we can heal them.
Group 1. Guard me.
On the trail.
Oh, my rangers aren't with me. Hold on. We gotta wait for them.
Group 1. Group 2.
My lord.
Let's go ahead and heal up. I can see them behind me on the mini-map, still approaching. Okay, let's go.
There's the village. Hurry before it's too late.
Phalanx formation. Guard me.
Aha!
Oh, yep, they're attacking the windmill. Let's go, guys. Charge!
Group 3. Attack!
For Telluria!
Group 2.
I stand ready.
Attack!
Have at you.
Group 1. Attack! Group 2.
You do have to wait for your spell to actually finish casting. In order for the effect to take place. These aren't instant cast spells. Good, everyone lived.
You will pay for crossing, Pyro. The tide of progress will not be stopped.
Worry not, my friend. We will protect you from the wrath of Pyro. You have served us well. Welcome to our service.
With a song in my heart.
Oh, not everyone lived. Looks like the strikes decided to fly a little low. There is no way for you to tell your flyers go up. And I think if they are low enough to the ground, melee units will attack them. So these strikes were not so smart, as it were. Alright, let's wrap up the tutorial.
This is your final training session. This time we will focus on all aspects of magic and advanced spellcasting techniques. First, let's talk about your altar.
The most important thing, actually.
This magnificent structure, as you may have deduced by now, is your altar. Your altar is your most important structure since it provides a link to your patron god. In your case, Persephone. Through this link, Persephone can preserve your spirit. That means you'll never die. If your body is destroyed, you will enter an ethereal state. While in this state, you can still command your creatures, but you can't cast spells or gather souls. Would you like to experience the sensation? No sooner said than done. I love doing that. Now don't be upset. The link to your altar is keeping your soul from leaving this plane of existence. To come back to life, all you need is the proper amount of magical energy. Magical energy, which we also call mana, can be gained from a variety of sources. Approach your altar.
Notice the upper right-hand corner, by the way. Our mana and life totals.
Your mana is indicated by the blue bar in the upper right corner of the screen. Notice that your mana is slowly recharging. As your mana recharges, so too does your health. Your health is indicated by the red bar next to your mana bar. When your current mana level reaches a quarter of your maximum and your health reaches full, you will reincarnate. Overall, your altar is a pretty weak source of mana. If you really want to charge up your mana, you must seek out mana fountains. Still, if you are unable to find other sources of mana, your altar will have to do. The altar sounds like a pretty good deal, eh? Well, all that it provides is not without cost. If an enemy can taint your altar by desecrating it, you're in big trouble. If an enemy is desecrating your altar, you'll see some creatures called sect doctors performing a ritual. Here's one now. As the ritual progresses, you will be struck with magical energy. You will lose health, mana, and experience whenever you are struck by this energy. Luckily enough, sack doctors are not very tough, and you can interrupt the desecration by attacking them. The energies unleashed by the desecration will keep melee attackers at bay, so you will have to disrupt the ritual with ranged attackers or spells. Since you only need to do away with one of them to stop the desecration, a single shot of wrath will do the trick. So remember that although your altar is very powerful, it is also very vulnerable. We'll talk about how you can desecrate an enemy altar in a bit. First, you must learn about mana. Follow me.
Experience, to my knowledge, is not used in a single-player game. In the multiplayer, you will have to have experience in order to access later creatures and spells, I believe. But not, once again, not in the single-player game. Do we have any spells at all? We have no spells at the moment. Okay. Gotta slow walk. So basically, the ritual will be quite pronounced. You will see a giant beam of light coming out of your altar if it's being desecrated, and you will start losing mana and life until you die. And then if your altar is destroyed and you are in ethereal form, that is the end of you.
This is a mana fountain. Supposedly, back in the elder days when the earth was torn asunder and the floating islands first formed, there was a terrible release of magical energies and blah 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 blah. Ancient history. What matters now is that there are magical geysers like this one all over the place. Whenever you stand near a mana fountain, your own natural mana reserves will replenish. A mana fountain is the best source of mana around and will recharge you much faster than your altar. Anyone standing near a mana fountain, friend or foe, will regain lost mana. To keep the mana to yourself and your creatures, you'll need to summon a magical structure called a manalith. That's right. You put the manalith on the mana fountain. To summon a manalith, open your third spell tab and left-click on the manalith spell. Your cursor will now change into a targeting cursor. Highlight the stump of the mana fountain and left-click to summon a manalith.
Animus vas sanct rock doth dull kinketsu thorn diem rock kinketsu diem vas diem ilorum thorn ilorum flam barata.
Now that you have a manalith on this mana fountain, only you and your creatures may utilize it. Follow me and we will continue your lessons.
Enemies can use mana fountains if you do not have a manalith over them. We're going to see another bonus about building these right up ahead, I think. Right, we still have the spells. I keep hitting Z to cast, to speed myself up. Normally I like walking in games I play, but here in this game, you're going to see me using speed a whole lot.
Beware, good mystic, for we do sense the taint of evil on this island. It may be that one of Charnel's necromancers, the vile Syrinx, has come to carry out some mischief. She is formidable, but fear not. Fight with wisdom and justice, and you shall prevail. We shall grant you a few spells in case you encounter any difficulty.
See you.
Domine flam carpe.
Ah! Wasn't even told to do it.
Must be a scout for Syrinx. Good job finishing it off. If Syrinx is here, I will need to teach you a few more things. We will need a few souls to do much of anything. I think I see some up ahead. Follow me.
Okay. There's blue souls and red souls. I'm pretty sure our homunculus will tell us the difference between them.
Ah, here we go. A few lost souls for you to gather. You need souls to summon creatures. Most creatures require a single soul, but the more powerful ones use more. These souls are blue, which means they are pure and ready for your use. Blue souls may be collected simply by touching them. Now that you have a few souls, we need to summon some creatures. The first type of creature we will need is a mana whore. Open the spell tab on the left and cast the Summon Mana Whore spell by left-clicking on it. Good. This little guy is called a mana whore, as you may have guessed. He is not much of a fighter, but he is probably your most important creature. He channels mana from your manaliths to an area around him.
Thorn, Rock, Plateau, Farmithrax.
Although a single mana whore is a much weaker source of mana than a manalith, you can summon several to make up for their lack of power. Don't get carried away, though. A soul used for a mana whore could be used for a fighting creature instead.
We're going to have to balance how much mana we want to regenerate, as long as we're away from a mana fountain, with how many souls we want to spend on actual fighting creatures.
Group 9. You're Group 9. Guard me.
I generally like having 3 or 4 mana whores at the early game at least. A reminder that I never got past, or never, I don't remember.
Someone is attacking your manalith. You could run back there and deal with it, but the teleport spell is a better way to go.
Sanct Kalpa, Bovis, Carpe, Elorum, Wodan, Thorn. Vas, Hijort, Kinketsu.
Try summoning another mana whore. Now your cursor is a targeting icon. Place the icon over the manalith or its icon on the minimap and left-click. This will teleport you there.
Oh, I already did this. Sorry about that. I'm already here. Uh-oh. I hope I didn't break the tutorial. I think we have to go back here again. So let's just go ahead and do it.
Domine, Crixa, Bethud, Farmithrax, Mastadok, Verata, Kalpa.
Uh-oh. I've broken our homunculus' fragile little mind. Okay, let's get some distance. And try this again. By the way, we can do the teleport by utilizing the mini-map. We don't have to actually click on the thing itself. At least I think we can. Oop, that's our shrine? Was I lying? Oh, no. Wrong spell was selected.
Bovis, Klaatu, Elorum, Farmithrax, Elorum, Nikto, Carpe.
Oh crap, I've broken the tutorial.
Guard! Guard me.
Okay, I'll be right back, everyone.
Convert in the spell list. Target the locust soul and left-click.
Oh crap, so I didn't even do anything different. I just hit escape so I could bring up the main menu, and that was all I needed to do to get him to go to his next text. So we missed a tiny bit of text, but he's now going to inform us about these red souls. These are faithful to a god that is not the god that we are serving, and as such, we need to convert them first. To do that, we need to actually cast the convert spell.
Bethud, Diem, Klaatu, Bovis, Bethud, Animus, Verata.
This will summon one of those sack doctors we saw earlier. He is a spirit servant of the gods who will cleanse the soul, resurrect the creature, and take it to your altar to be offered to your god. Once the ceremony at your altar is complete and your god accepts the soul, it will be transferred directly to you. Remember what I said earlier about sack doctors? They are notoriously shy when it comes to fighting. If they take enough damage, they will drop whatever they are doing and flee the battle. Now, when you feel up to the task, let's go find Syrinx and defeat her.
The sack doctors will have to run all the way back to your altar in order to actually begin converting the creature. They all do the dance as if they're doing a desecration, but it's not quite the same thing. Alright, so we might as well summon a few things to help us. We can see how many souls it is to summon a creature by the creature's attacks as we summon.
Strength and honor, Ranger here.
You're Group 2. Skirmish formation. Guard me.
Moving out.
Oh, we have hostiles.
Attack!
Tracking the prey.
Klaatu, Verata, Kalpa, Denorum. Farmithrax, Denorum.
Group 2. Attack!
He's shafted.
Aye.
Attack!
Spreading the word.
All is going well, but do not think Syrinx will fall easily. She is a wizard, much the same as you. That means she won't stay dead. Instead of just killing her, we need to banish her by finding and desecrating her altar.
Song in my heart.
Well, we're also going to want to keep converting on our way. We might want a 4th mana whore as well, so let's go ahead and get another one of them.
Group 9. Your group 9. Guard me.
I tend to like, as if I played this game so very often, I do like having, I remember having 4 mana whores most of the time, but 3 also worked. And we're out of current souls, so we definitely want to...
Group 2, guard me.
On my way.
Get these 3. We're going to need more than just 5 fighting creatures.
Diem, Ilorum, Pharmathrax, Animus, Nathrak, Kazam.
As our homunculus said, the sack doctors are cowards and can't take very much damage. If I was to target this with the spell, it would immediately flee and stop doing what it's doing currently. If it was carrying this creature back to our altar in order to convert it, and Syrinx hit it with a spell, it would drop the soul there. The souls are red to us, but for Syrinx, these souls, assuming that these creatures were on her side, will be blue to her, and she could just run over them to regain them. There's no other resources, to my recollection in the game, besides souls and mana. Mana is used for you to cast spells and create creatures, but souls are used to also create your creatures, and you cannot create any creature without any souls.
Group 3.
I
Your group 3. Guard
with
me.
a song in my heart.
Let's see. Let's move up and we'll claim that mana fountain. If we get another creature, we'll make a druid.
I stand ready.
Oops, did that not work? Let's see.
Line formation.
No.
Line formation.
No, not what I want. I want flank left.
Guard me.
I.
And you're going to be group.
Your group 1.
Group 1. We got another one. Let's go ahead and get another druid.
Group 1.
I stand ready.
Your group 1. Guard
By
me.
the goddess.
Okay, so they prefer line formation. So be it. We'll keep them in it. Alright. I don't see her yet, which is good. Beautiful arc there, Persephone. So let's make the mana fountain first. The more mana fountains you possess, the more mana that your mana whores will convert to you while you're not near them as well. So you want as many of these as you can think you can get away with. And of course you want to teleport to them if they're under attack so you can defend them from enemies.
Now that we have a manolith in a forward area that we control, we need to make sure that we keep it under our control. To provide us with some extra defense, we can use the Guardian spell. Move a creature near the manolith and stand near the creature. Now open up your structure spellbook. Left-click on the Guardian spell and target the creature.
Nathrak, Mastadok, Klaatu, Kalpa, Rock, Urata.
Group 3.
Direct me.
Guard me.
Sallying forth.
You see that red energy beam? That links the creature to the structure. He will absorb any damage that the structure takes. In turn, he will feed off of the energy of the structure and will gain increased statistics. Of course, he is now linked to the structure and cannot move very far away from it. This is a very powerful spell, and when used properly, it can turn the tide of battle.
There are no turrets in the game, at least not something that is stationary, so this effectively makes a creature into a turret, more or less. If it's a ranged attack. If it's a melee, we'll just stand here and melee enemies that approach it. But I think you generally want ranged. That said, having a really strong tanky unit linked to an altar would make it even more tanky. I think these creatures must also be destroyed in order for them to destroy the altar, the manolith, assuming that one's linked to it. we'll go ahead and leave this one Shrike there.
My lord? My lord? Yes, my lord? Playing games at a time like this? How can you champion the forests? You are unworthy. You lack the spirit of the wolf. I shall seek allies elsewhere. Level 4 druid seeks party for monster hunting. Will sow for clarity.
That.
Playing games
That's,
at a time like this?
I've never played EverQuest, but sow, I believe, stands for Spirit of the Wolf. And Clarity is another spell that I think was castable in EverQuest. I have no clue what these spells did, but I will assume that the Druid was also a class in the original EverQuest. And that Spirit of Wolf increased, like, maybe your combat stats and movement? And or Clarity recovered your mana a little faster in that game. Let's recreate another Shrike.
Group 3. Your Group 3. Guard me.
Okay, and let's move on. I feel like we probably should have had one less mana whore with us. We'll see how well we do. We can lose this, by the way, right here, and there's no quick save to my knowledge in this part of the game, or if there is, I'll have to find out what the hotkey is. But my intention is to record my failures or victories, so hopefully we can actually defeat Syrinx. Oh, that looks like her altar. There she is! Okay, let's do this.
Group 3.
Spreading the word.
Group 1.
I stand ready.
Group 3.
I,
Guard.
with a song.
Guard.
With a song in my heart.
Group 1. Group 2.
Strength and honor.
Group 1.
I stand ready.
Go get her, boys!
Group 2. Group 3.
Okay, we killed her. Good work.
Group 2.
Ranger here.
Take out that altar.
Attack that building. Group
Direct
3.
me.
Attack that building.
Spreading the word.
Oh, I love her voice. That's awesome. Oops, that was the wrong spell. I meant this. Thankfully, this is just a tutorial, so she should be rather weak.
Group 1. Guard me.
Persephone willing.
Group 3. Guard me. Group 2.
Strength and
Guard me.
Come back here, boys. We must take this so that she can't take it. Sorry, this playlist also probably have a lot less talking than many of them, because I'm playing and speaking at the same time. Sorry, Syrinx, but now we have to kill you.
Group 2.
There's Syrinx's altar. To put her out of the game, approach the altar and cast the Desecrate spell on one of your nearby creatures. This will sacrifice the targeted creature on the enemy altar.
And thus why the game is called Sacrifice. Now she's here in ethereal form somewhere, recovering her mana. She could pop back up and destroy the desecration attempt. And there she is.
As the ritual progresses, it will damage Syrinx. If she dies while the ritual is in effect, her altar will be destroyed and she will be banished from this place.
Justice has triumphed. Charnel will be incensed that Syrinx was defeated by one so young. You show great promise. Soon you shall join the ranks of our most honored mystics.
Alright guys, and so concludes the tutorial. Let's go back to the main menu now. The tutorial follows the recruitment of Shakti into Persephone's order, but that is not what the single player will cover. I really liked how they did that as well, since it's going to be unrelated to our own main character. Just a heads up. And with that said, let's go ahead and get to the hub, which will happen within like 5 or 10 minutes or so. There'll be a few cutscenes, and then we'll end the video. And you guys can vote onto which god we'll serve. We'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to that point. We have to choose Eldred here. But we'll name him Lotaeri. Can I quickly add how much... I mean, I know that resolution-wise, texture-wise, they haven't aged that well, but I still really like how all these wizards look like wizards to me. The capes, the wizard caps, it feels right, and yet it's also a bit odd given the strangeness of the models and the world we're in. I think it just adds to the atmosphere of the game. All right, well, let's go ahead and start.
It has begun.
We're too late again, Master. All dead. You!
I begin to think the cause of this destruction cannot be other than myself.
Master.
My dark experiments come to a most wicked end.
Master!
What is it?
Who's there? That voice. Is that...
Yes, Mithras, 'tis I.
It seems you are to be my salvation after all.
I am no one's salvation. I am a pawn of doom itself.
Why, you speak in riddles, sir. I wonder if even my wisdom can decipher them.
We should try, and see if you can find sense where I have failed. Where to begin? In the realm that was my home, I had devoted my life to study of the arcane. No pursuit was too perilous, no sacrifice too great, until, well, under the many heavens and in the many worlds, there are darker things than men may dream of. By mere good fortune, recent experiments in conjuration had ensnared me, this imp.
Last time I fall for that one, believe you me.
Only through his guidance was I able to travel across the astral void. And that is how I came here. What a strange and beautiful world I beheld, but dangerous too, I was certain. And I was friendless and homeless, and so I prayed. Hear me, exalted spirits. Hear me, be you gods or devils, ye who hold dominion here. I am a wizard without a home. I am a wanderer seeking refuge.
Wander no more, child. To Elysium come, and join the armies of our faithful. Wage righteous battle against the iniquity of the infernal lord.
Pyro's factories are not iniquity.
Do they not befoul all that is pure? Are they not the very instrument of desecration? Yet their ruinous encroachment continues unabated. If the sanctity of the Davin Forest is violated, what land lies not in jeopardy?
Jeopardy? I bring progress to the forest.
There is no progress without justice.
What you call justice is bondage to outmoded ways. Pyro's followers will never accept such foolishness.
But you have no followers in Davin, Pyro.
I can fix that.
How dare you?
Typical. Do not despair, Wanderer. These two paragons of virtue are not the only gods around here. I, for one, can offer you untold knowledge.
Such promises, knowledge, justice, progress. What value hold these without conflict? What is a life devoid of strife?
Peaceful. That's not so bad in my book.
I didn't know you could read.
Hearing their petty squabbles, my heart lightened. Any of these gods would welcome my talents. The choice would be mine.
Alright everyone, welcome to the hub. In between each mission...
Approach a statue to learn more.
Yep. In between each mission, we will come here, and we will have to choose a god that we want to do the next mission for. Working for a god will give us spells for that god. They each have their own creatures, and they each have their own spells. This becomes more noticeable and more pronounced in the later missions in particular. Working for a god will also mean working against a different god, if I recall correctly. And so the god you work for you'll gain more favor with that god. The god that is directly opposed to that god's efforts, you will lose more favor from. But then any of the gods that you did not accept the mission from will lose also favor with them. Eventually, there will be one god who will be the only one willing to work with us. But you can probably extend that a little bit by flip-flopping between different gods if you so wish. Or you can go all down one god's entire path. There is no wrong choice here, and I have no loyalty to any of the gods at the moment, which is to say, I have no preference, so I will leave it to you guys to decide which god we will work for. That said, we should also go up and listen to what each god wants us to do, and then we'll end the video, and you guys can make a decision as to which god we will work for. Obviously, whichever one wins the most votes by you guys telling me in the comments which one I should do the job for, will be the one we do the job for. If it's a tie, I will roll dice. I have green, beige, blue, red, and a purple die, and I'll roll those 20-sided dice, and I'll roll them to see which one wins if in case we do have a tie, because I do not want to cast a vote. But there is something I will ask you as well. During the missions, it is possible that you might have the opportunity to betray the god you're working for and work for another. Pyro's first mission will be against Persephone, as he looks to extend his influence to the Davin Forest. We will have the opportunity in Pyro's first mission to betray Pyro, and instead side with Persephone. Doing so will immediately remove Pyro from a god that we can do potential other work for in the future. He will not accept us. We lose all the favor with him right away. That is an example of a betrayal. Let me know if you... what you would... like, a part of me wants to say just flat out, we're not going to betray anyone. But if you think I should maybe do so, you can also let me know what you would think. I'm not going to roll dice for that, though. That would be a little too chaotic, I think. Alright, let's go ahead and see what the gods want us to do.
We are Persephone. We are the essence of life. You have seen us in the sweet virgin, the gentle mother, and the wise crone. Love us, and we shall requite thy love 100-fold. Would you be a servant of justice and strive against the hand of wickedness? Show us. Carry our message of peace to the quarreling gnomes in Pelinon.
I am James, god of earth. You know, rocks and soil and stuff. Some nice gems, too. Oh, it's not all brown and gray, you know. Just mostly. One of my altars has been abandoned, and I'd like to know why. Please go and see what you can see.
The game was made by Shiny Entertainment, by the way, which I believe also produced the Earthworm Jim games, so it's somewhat correct to see a worm god here. Or, I was expecting to see one.
I am Stratos, god of air, and supreme lord of the heavens, bringer of storms, mover of the firmament. Oh, let's to be honest, shall we? In any halfway civilized world, I would be the only god. Forget all this other nonsense. If you wish to learn something of your new home, I will send you with Sarah Bella to unravel one of the older mysteries of this place.
I am Pyro, god of fire. They will tell you I am god of destruction and chaos, but that's not really true. I am the spark of imagination and the engine of industry. I am the bringer of knowledge and the bearer of light. I intend to build factories in the Davin Forest, which is a haven for antiquated druidic thinking. All who do not flee will be enriched by my triumph. You, not least of all.
I am Charno, god of strife, god of slaughter, god of death. Where there is pain, I am there. Where there is suffering, I flourish. Where there is joy, yes, well, one could hardly have joy without another's suffering, no? One of my followers has, how do you say, strayed from the flock. I need one such as you to gently usher him back into the fold.
Alright everyone, those are the missions. You guys can let me know which one we should do the next mission for, and that's the one we'll do. Once again, we get a tie, I'll roll it off. I really have no preference, so I'm not going to be casting votes. We will let the dice decide in ties. I am babbling and saying the same things repeatedly, so we'll stop here. Thank you guys for watching, and I hopefully see you. Oh, in the next one, on that note, I'm going to wait a day or two in between these uploads, so this way folks can actually get a vote in if they care to, as opposed to just waiting half a day for the votes to come in. As such, the uploads for this might be a little more delayed than normal for my channel, and there'll probably be a few days where there's no uploads hitting my channel because I am waiting to record the